Black history, the scattering of the Israelites. The scattering of the Israelites. And today, we're going to be dealing with why we call ourselves the children of Israel. Because remember, I told you at the start of this lesson, we're going to show you that the children of Israel do exist, and we are the children of Israel. And so, in this lesson today that we're going to deal with, is going to show you without a doubt that we are the children of Israel. Okay? So we went over the existence of the children of Israel to show you with archaeology and with history that the children of Israel existed. And then we showed you that the children of Israel are black people. And now we're going to show you the scattering of the children of Israel. Next Sabbath, we'll be showing you the gathering of the children of Israel. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today. And so we're going to start off with Nehemiah, the 9th chapter. Nehemiah 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Nehemiah 9 and verse 1. I want everybody to pay attention. Nobody get upset and all that. You know, because this is the Word of God and it's history. And that's basically what we're dealing with. The Word of God and history. All right, so we had Nehemiah 9 and 1. Nehemiah 9 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Now on the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting, and with sackcloth and earth upon them. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all strangers, and stood and confessed their sins and the iniquities of their fathers.
Now look, you know, this is when the children of Israel separated themselves from the stranger. When they came out of Egypt, they were with the stranger all the way up until this time right here. Then they said, well, you know what? We're going to confess our iniquities to God, and then we're going to come back to the Lord, and then we're going to separate ourselves from the stranger to do this. Right? So skip down to verse 6. Skip down to verse 6. Go ahead and read it.
Thou, even thou, art Lord alone. Thou hast made heaven, and heaven of heavens, with all their hosts, the earth, and all things that are therein, the seas, and all that therein is therein. And thou preservest them all, and the hosts of heaven worship thee. Thou art the Lord of the God, who didst choose Abram, and broughtest him forth out of Ur of the Chaldees, and gave him the name of Abraham, and foundest his heart faithful before thee, and manest a covenant with them to give the land of the Canaanites.
So he made a covenant with Abraham to give him the land of Canaan. He also made this covenant with the children of Israel to give them the land of Canaan. So start that again.
8. And foundest his heart faithful before thee, and manest the covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Girgashites, to give it, I say, to his seed, and hast performed thy works, for thou art righteous.
Now wait a minute, he said he gave it to the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites. This is the land of Canaan that was given to the children of Israel. So now, who is the father of these Canaanites? It is none other than Ham, right?
That's right.
Now, so we're going to look at this. First, we're going to go to, I got it. National Encyclopedia. Let me get straight here. National Encyclopedia. Just want to remind you something about Ham. So we're going to read what's in blue, and then you're going to turn the page and read that. Got it? All right.
Ham, the third son of Noah. According to tradition, Ham had 4 sons.
Now Ham had 4 sons. Go ahead and read.
Cush.
Cush, that's Ethiopia.
Mizraim.
Mizraim, that's the Hebrew name for the Egyptians. And then the Philistines also came out of Mizraim. Remember we read that in the last lesson. Go ahead and read. Foot, that's Libya, which the Arabs have taken over Egypt and Libya now. So that's Libya. Foot is Libya,
And Canaan.
And Canaan, which had the Canaanites, the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Amorites, Girgasites. These all came out of the fourth son, Canaan. Go ahead and read.
Canaan became the ancestors of the tribe of the
Phoenicians,
and Palestine.
And what?
Palestine.
And Palestine. Where is Palestine? That is present-day Israel. But see, this is why we know that that Israel, which was the land of Canaan, sits on the African continent. Because these are Ham's children. And they sat on the African continent, not on the Asian continent. So he said he was the father of Palestine, right?
Yes.
What else does it say?
The other three grandsons of Noah, migrated southward and peopled the African continent.
And they peopled the African continent. Go ahead and turn that.
However widespread the custom, it is not correct to speak of a Negro as the son of Ham.
Oh, wait a minute. However widespread, it is not customary to speak of the Negro as the son of Ham. Well then, who are the Negroes? And who is our father? Because I know y'all scared to say it. So, but we are called the Negroes. And if Ham is not, because you know what they call us African Americans, right? But Ham is the father of the Africans, but not of the Negroes. So who is our father? Remember, the children of Israel are on the same continent as the Africans. Now, we're going to show this map of Palestine right here. Let me get my pointer here. I forgot my pointer. So you can see right there some of the tribes. Well, you see all the tribes. And they are sitting on this, they are sitting right at this time on the land of Canaan. So, you know, you got Asher and Zebulun and Issachar and Manasseh and Gad and Benjamin, as Ephraim, Reuben, and so on and so forth. And these all are sitting on the African continent or the land of Canaan, what we commonly call today Israel. Does everybody understand?
Amen.
So I want you to pay attention now, because we're sitting on the African continent through this whole lesson practically. Okay? Except when it comes time for the dispersion. Then that's when some of the children of Israel leave the African continent, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So I want everybody to pay attention now. So we're going to the World Book Encyclopedia right here, and we're going to read something about Palestine, because we read earlier that Ham's descendants were in Palestine, right? In the land of Canaan. So now, where's the land of Canaan? I'm going to read right there near turning page. It's highlighted.
The land of Canaan, about 1000 BC.
About 1000 BC. Go ahead.
Most of the land of Canaan, later called Palestine.
Later called what?
Palestine.
Oh, so the land of Canaan was later called Palestine. That is the land of Israel. Go ahead.
Was held by the 12 tribes of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, turn that page.
Roman rule.
Now, this is in the 1st century under Roman rule. Go ahead.
In 63 BC, Roman troops invaded Judah, and it became part of the Roman Empire. The Romans called the area Judea.
Well, wait a minute. First they call it Judea. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem during the early years of Roman rule. In time, conflicts occurred between the Roman rulers and groups of Jews who wanted to govern themselves.
Now stop right there. So now this took place around 70 AD, 68 AD. You know, they wanted to rule over themselves. You Romans, get out of here. This is our country, right? But the Romans wasn't having that. Go ahead.
These conflicts led to unsuccessful revolts in AD 66 and 132.
Now, 132, that was Simon Bar Kokhba, and they got crushed at about 135. Simon Bar Kokhba was an Edomite that led a revolt in Israel against the Romans. An Edomite Jew. But when you go back to the 1st century, those are actual Jews at that time. Because remember, in 70 AD, well, we're going to get to it. But go ahead and read some more.
By AD 135, the Romans had driven the Jews out of Jerusalem. The Romans named the area Palestine.
They named it what?
Palestine.
Palestine. So Judea, then they turned around and named it Palestine. Go ahead.
For Philistia is about this time. Most of the Jews...
Philistia, yeah.
Philistia.
Yeah, for Philistines. But go ahead.
Most of the Jews fled from Palestine.
You done with that?
Yeah.
Most of the Jews, they did what? Fled from Palestine. Now, remember that. Because we're going to show you something a little later on. Most of the Jews fled. A lot of them were enslaved. But some of them fled. Let's go now. Let's go to Acts the 13th chapter. Acts the 13th chapter. Acts 13, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Acts 13, and we're just going to read one verse right here. And I'm just going to show you in the 1st century what color the children of Israel were. Acts 13 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simon, that was called Niger.
They were called Niger. What does Niger mean? Well, I'll read it. The word Niger means black. That's what Niger means, black. So Simon and Barnabas were called black. Just like, you might say those black people over there. Right? So now, we're in the 1st century. They called them black. Let's go back now. We're going to read some more today about what color the children of Israel are. So we're going to go to Lamentations, the 5th chapter. Lamentations 5. Lamentations 5, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Lamentations 5 and 1. Lamentations 5 and 1. Now this is when the Babylonians came in and they had sacked Jerusalem. But when they're going to speak of the time that they were in Egypt and the Assyrian captivity as well. So start reading at verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
Remember, O Lord, what is to come upon us considering and behold our reproach.
Go ahead.
Our inheritance is turned to strangers. Our house is to aliens.
Now he said our houses turned to strangers and to aliens. Jerusalem been fought over for 1,900 years. People been fighting over that land. I mean, you had Turks in there, Byzantines, Arabs, Edomite Jews, you name it. They've been fighting over that land. Skip to verse 5. Go ahead and read it.
Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest.
Go ahead.
We have given the hand to the Egyptians.
See, he said, we have given the hand to the Egyptians, because that's where they were at first. They were in Egypt. And see, that's why we're in the trouble that we're in now today as a people, because even during biblical times, our people would not keep the laws and commandments of God. And he warned them century after century after century. Even until the time you get down to the 1st century, he was still warning. He said, you know what? I done had it up to here with you guys. You all are out of here. I'm going to take you off into slavery or into captivity. You're going to be led away captive into all nations. Because God had it up to here with the children of Israel. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. Go ahead and read verse 6.
We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread.
Now, so you know, because that's where they were at first. They were in Egypt. Then here comes the Assyrian captivity. You know, Israel was passed around like a football when it comes to slavery. That's why Jeremiah asked that question, Israel, are you a homeborn slave? And that should give you an inkling of who we are, because that's what happened to our people. But anyway, verse 7, go ahead.
Our fathers have sinned and are not.
See, they have sinned. Sinned against God by not keeping his laws, commandments, and his statutes. We're going to show you the children of Israel, they really, even the priests and the prophets were transgressing against God. So you know, if the prophets and the priests were transgressing, then the people are going to transgress as well. Because this people didn't have no leadership. And so they just went haywire. Just like now, we have no leadership and our people are gone haywire. Don't you know if our people understood who we were or who we are and what we're supposed to be doing, who our God is, that things would get better for us? But we realize that that's not going to happen because our people are stiff-necked and hard-headed. Go ahead and read.
Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities.
Go ahead.
Servants have ruled over us.
Servants. Look, we had people serving us, but now they're ruling over us. Go ahead and read.
There is none that doeth deliver us out of their hand. We get our bread with the pearls of our lives.
Now you see that word gat, that's what we say. Most people say God, we say gat. That's how I know. Well, anyway, verse 9, go ahead and read that again.
We get our bread with the pearls of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness.
Go ahead.
Our skin was black like the oven because of the terrible famine.
Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. Because when we get sick, we get darker. That's what happened to us. We get darker. Let's go now. Let's go to, because I had a cousin, he had a funeral. He was light-skinned, but when he was in his casket, though, he was real dark. I'll explain to you later. Ezekiel 12. Ezekiel 12. And we're going to pick it up in verse 2. Ezekiel 12 and 2. Just hold on for a minute because it's going to get very interesting in a minute. Some people might not like what they hear today, but nevertheless, it's right here in the Bible. And we're going to show you some history to back it up. Not that we need history, but it's always good to show the people that if you don't believe the Bible, what about this history right here? You believe this? We're in Ezekiel 12. Ezekiel 12 and 2. Go ahead and read.
Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not.
See that, you know, they see it, but they not observing. They hear it, but they hear not. You go and tell an Israelite, he's an Israelite, and try to show him. I remember one time I was working at the Coca-Cola plant in Chicago, and I was trying to, you know, his brother's working there, so I'm trying to talk to him and tell him, hey, look, man, come here for a minute. Let me show you something. He started hollering across the plant, hey, man, this guy trying to make me a Jew. I was like, oh, man. I just put my head down and just walked away. Here I am telling you something in private and company. You hollering to everybody. I tell you, boy. Verse 2, read it again. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not.
Go ahead.
And have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house.
They are a rebellious house. Skip to verse 5. Skip to verse 5. Go ahead.
Dig thou through the walls of their sight, and carry out thereby. In their sight shalt thou bear it upon thy shoulders, and carry it forth in the twilight. Thou shalt cover thy face, and thou shalt not see the ground. For I have set thee for a sign unto the house of Israel.
Now skip to verse 11. Skip to verse 11. Go ahead and read.
Say, I am your sign, like as I have done, so shall it be done unto them.
Now because he told Ezekiel here, look, you're going to get your clothes together and then you're going to leave and you're going to depart. And so he said, just like I'm telling you to do, this is the same thing that's going to happen to the children of Israel. Except they're going to get kicked out of the land. They're going to be removed. Read verse 11.
Say, I am your sign. Like as I have done, so shall it be done unto them. They shall remove and go into captivity.
They shall remove and go into captivity. See, this is going to happen. There's people in the land thrown into captivity. In the land thrown into captivity. I mean, back and forth, back and forth. And the Lord just said, you know what, that's enough. Now you all get ready to get dispersed among the nations. Go ahead and read some more.
12. And the prince that is among them shall bear upon his shoulder in the twilight, and shall go forth. They shall dig through the wall to carry out thereby. He shall cover his face, that he see not the ground with his eyes.
Go ahead.
My net also will I spread upon him, and he shall be taken in my snare. And I will bring him to Babylon in the land of the Chaldeans.
Go ahead. So we got Egypt first, then the Assyrians, now the Babylonians. See, this people right here, boy, they were in and out of slavery. You would think after a little while, after a few hundred years, maybe they get their heads right and everything. But no, these people are rebellious house, a rebellious people. So he said, my net also will I spread upon him. Talking about that prince, right? Because he's going to bring the prince too. But remember, when the Babylonians came in to Israel to bring them into captivity, the first one they got were the prominent people. They got the princes, the scientists, the wise people. They grabbed Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because they were wiser than all the people. So they grabbed them first. And then he brought them to Nebuchadnezzar brought him to and put them in his kingdom. And then started teaching them the language and his ways. And then they started teaching him and his people. But go ahead and read.
Yet shall he not see it, though he shall die there. And I will scatter toward every wind all that are about him to help him, and all his bands. And I will draw out the sword after them. Talking about the children of Israel. I'm going to draw out the sword after y'all. Go ahead and read. And they shall know that I am the Lord. When I shall scatter them among the nations. See that? There it is again. And I'm going to scatter them among the nations. Go ahead and read. And disperse them in the country. And I will leave a few men of them from the sword. Now look, see, that's why I say something's wrong with these people. Because now look at what the Lord had Ezekiel write. Where he said, I'm going to leave a few of them. Look at why he left a few of them in the land. Go ahead and read. From the sword, from the famine, and from the pestilence, that they may declare all their abominations among the heathen. Stop right there. He said that they may declare their abominations among the heathens. See, this is why he left some of them in the land. So that when the heathen come by, they say, look, this is what happened to our people. And this is why it happened to our people. And that's what we're going to show you today. What happened to our people and why it happened to our people. And why we are in the conditions that we are in today. Go ahead and read. Whether they come. And they shall know that I am the Lord. They shall know that I am the Lord. Let's go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 chapter. Deuteronomy 28 chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 28 and 1. Now we're not going to go over all the curses and the blessings and the curses today. We're just going to get down to the part where it talks about the children of Israel being scattered. But first, let's show you what the Lord said concerning the blessings. Deuteronomy 28 and 1. Deuteronomy 28 and 1. Go ahead and read it. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I have commanded thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Now look at what he was going to do for the children of Israel. I'm going to set you above all the nations of the earth. We would have been numero uno
on earth. If our forefathers had just kept the laws and commandments, and I'm going to show you something, even if our people had just kept the Sabbath, we would still be in our land. There wouldn't be no question about who the children of Israel are then. But go ahead and read.
2.
Uh-huh.
And all these blessings shall come on thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Go ahead.
Blessed shalt thou be in the city, blessed shalt thou be in the field.
Go ahead.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Now look, he said, look, I'm going to bless you. Whichever way you turn, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless the fruit of your body. Your children going to be blessed. We keep reading, your storehouse going to be blessed. Your field going to be blessed. Everything you do is going to be blessed. You're going to prosper at it. And that is really something, man, how the children of Israel gave up all these blessings. Even to where we got cursed even in this generation. We still cursed. Skip to verse 15. Skip to verse 15. Go ahead and read it.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and his statutes, which I have commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So now if you keep my commandments, I'm going to bless you. But if you don't keep my commandments, I'm going to curse you, Israel. I'm going to curse you. Now, we're going to come back here a little later, and we're going to just show you a few of the curses. So, let's go to Jeremiah, the 17th chapter, Jeremiah 17. We're going to show you without a doubt who we are. Everybody calling us Negroes. They calling us African Americans, Afro Americans, black. All these different, every 10, 20 years, our nationality or our name changes. Not so with all the other nations, just us. Just us. That should tell you something right there. But anyway, we had Jeremiah 17 and 19. Jeremiah 17 and 19. Everybody got it? Glad to see everybody come out today. Go ahead and read it.
Thus saith the Lord unto me, go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in.
So now look at what he's going to tell the children of Israel right here. If you just keep my Sabbath, I will let you all stay in the land. But they wouldn't do it. Go ahead and read.
And by which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem, and say unto them, hear ye the word of the Lord, ye kings of Judah, and all Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burdens on the Sabbath day.
He said, look, check yourself when it comes to the Sabbath. Don't bear any burdens on the Sabbath. Take heed to yourself, man. Check yourself. And that's what some of our brothers need to understand. That know that they're supposed to be keeping the Sabbath, but still refuse to keep it. You need to check yourself. Go ahead and read.
Nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your house on the Sabbath day. Neither do any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers.
Now, and this is the fourth commandment, right? So he said, I commanded your fathers to do this, and now I want you to do it, Israel. Go ahead and read.
But they obeyed not.
But they obeyed not. Remember what he said, if you keep my commandments, I'm going to bless you, but if you don't, I'm going to curse you. So now they say, you know what, skip the Sabbath. We ain't got to keep no Sabbath. But they obeyed not,
Neither inclined their ear, but made their necks stiff.
But made their necks stiff. I ain't got to keep no Sabbath. I ain't got to do that. Just like Israel is doing now. They don't even believe they're Israel. Even after hearing and seeing all this, they still won't believe they're Israel. But then we ain't got to keep no Sabbath. Isn't that the commandment that God said, remember? Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. They said, we don't have to do that. Go ahead and read.
That they might not hear nor receive instruction. And it came to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein.
Go ahead.
Then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes, sitting upon the throne of David.
Now you see this? He said, look, they're going to enter to Israel, the kings and princes. We would still have our nation if they had just kept the Sabbath day. Go ahead and read.
Riding in chariots and on horses.
Can you imagine that? Us in the land with our own government, right? Calling shots and everything, and got our own neighborhoods, and you know what I'm saying? Can you imagine this? Go ahead and read. Because if our people had just kept, if our ancestors just kept the Sabbath, we'd be looking at our own government, kings and princes and everything, riding in Cadillacs and stuff, you know. Verse 25 started on verse 25. Go ahead.
Then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes, sitting upon the thrones of David, riding in chariots and on horses.
Now we don't even know who David's seed is today. We don't know who the royal seed is today. That's how far gone we are. Our people don't even know who we are this day. That's how far gone we are. We'll go ahead and finish that.
They and their princes, the men of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And this city shall remain forever.
This city shall remain forever. Our people would have still been in the land. Like I said, our own government and everything. International trade and all of these things. People would have to come to us for money and wisdom and everything. They would surely have to come to us for wisdom. And they still have to come to the children of Israel for wisdom, for this wisdom. But we would have been in our own land doing this. Man, our people gave up a big thing. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter. Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter. Because this people were wicked. They were evil and wicked people. And the Lord had to punish them, and keep on punishing them. But thank God, some of us are trying to, in this generation, get it right. We're trying to get this thing right. Ezekiel 22 and 1. Ezekiel 22 and 1. Look at our ancestors. Go ahead and read.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Now, thou son of man, wilt thou judge the bloody city? Yea, thou shalt show her all her abominations.
Now he said, you won't judge the bloody city? Because, you know, Israel was fighting against each other. A lot of times they're fighting against each other. Then they start doing the abominable things in the land. Go ahead and read.
Then say thou, Thus saith the Lord God, the city sheddeth blood in the midst of it, that her time may come, and maketh idols against herself to defile herself.
Go ahead.
Thou art become guilty in thy blood, and thou hast shedded, and hast defiled thyself in thine idols, which thou hast made. And thou hast caused thy days to draw near, and are come even unto thy years. Therefore have I made thee a reproach unto the heathen, and to a mocking to all countries.
Go ahead. He said, I made you a reproach to the heathen and a mocking to all countries. Just like we are mocked. Every country that our people are in, we are mocked. They got little names for us. Verse 5, go ahead and read.
Those that be near and those that be far from thee shall mock thee, which are infamous and much vexed.
Skip to verse 8. Go ahead.
Thou hast despised mine holy things, and hast profaned my Sabbath.
See, he said, thou hast despised my holy thing and profaned my Sabbaths. That Sabbath got an S on it, right? So we talk about the holy days as well as the Sabbath. So they have profaned it. Skip to verse 10. Go ahead and read.
Indeed have they discovered their father's nakedness. Indeed have they humbled their hearts that was set apart for pollution.
Look, they even laying with the women. She on her monthly, they laying with her. Skip to verse 14. Skip to verse 14. Go ahead and read it.
Can thy heart endure? Or can thy hands be strong?
He said, look, can your heart endure this punishment I'm getting ready to do to you? Can your hands be strong? Go ahead and read.
In the days that I shall deal with
In
thee.
the day that I'm going to deal with you, because I'm going to deal with you, Israel. I'm going to deal with you. Can thine heart endure, or can thy hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with you? Because I'm going to deal with you. Go ahead and read.
I, the Lord, have spoken it, and will do it.
He said, I've spoken, I've told you what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And we're going to show you some of the things that he said he was going to do, and he has done it. Okay, we got to do something about that, brother. Okay. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
15.
Go ahead.
And I will scatter thee among the heathen.
He said it again. I'm going to scatter you among the heathen. Go ahead and read.
And disperse thee in the countries. And will consume thy filthiness out of thee.
Now, he said, I'm going to scatter you, Israel, and disperse you in the countries. Man, he kept warning them and warning them and warning them, and they still would not listen. They would not listen. Skip to verse 25. Skip to verse 25. Go ahead and read it.
There is a conspiracy of her prophets.
Now he go to prophets now, and the priests. Now if they go bad, then you know the people going to go bad. Start that again.
There is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst of thereof, like a roaring lion raving the prey. They have devoured souls. They have taken treasures and precious things.
Go ahead.
They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. Her priests have violated my law and have profaned my holy things.
Don't the priests, aren't they supposed to give the law? They were supposed to be teaching the law. So now the priests, they have violated my law. Go ahead and read.
They have put no difference between the holy and profane. Neither have they showed difference between the unclean and the clean.
Go ahead.
And have hid their eyes from my Sabbath. I am profane among them. Now, if
they haven't shown the difference between the unclean and the clean, what is this unclean and clean? They haven't showed them the dietary. They haven't showed them the dietary laws. They haven't showed them when a woman comes on a menstrual on her flowers. Man, you know she's supposed to be put away for 7 days, right? And you definitely not supposed to touch her. Does everybody understand? So they weren't showing the people the difference between the unclean and clean. Go ahead and read.
27. Her princes are in the midst thereof, are like wolves ravening the prey.
Go ahead.
To shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain.
Go ahead.
And her prophets have daubed them with untempered mortar, seeing vanity and divining lies unto them.
See, you know, the prophets and the priests, they start telling lies now. We don't have the truth, we're going to break the law. So if you don't have the law, then what you going to do? You're going to start making up stuff. Isn't that what men have done this day? We don't have to keep the law, so what do they do? Start making up stuff. The Lord said this and the Lord said that. And the book said, albeit the Lord have not spoken. You can turn that computer on there for them if you wouldn't mind. Albeit the Lord have not spoken unto them. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
28. And her prophets have daubed them with untempered mortar, saying vanity and divining lies unto them.
Go ahead.
Saying, thus saith the Lord, when the Lord had not spoken.
He said, they said, thus saith the Lord have not even spoken. You hear that today. The Lord said this, and the Lord ain't told you nothing. He ain't said nothing to you. You know how I know? He didn't say nothing to you because I can't read in the book, then you lying. I had to tell a brother that just the other day. Well, that captivity, because we're talking about the captivity of the children of Israel, I'm trying to show them that, look at this captivity that the book talks about, and then this fits us. Well, that's man's doing. I said, first of all, if you haven't done no reading and you haven't done no research, the best thing for you to do is be quiet. Especially when you're talking to me. Because I'm going to start asking you some questions. And then you're going to be stumbling. So if you're not saying what thus said the Lord, then what are you? And you saying something else, then what are you?
A liar.
You are a liar. Oh, well, I don't want to talk to you no more. No, that's okay. I didn't ask you to get on the phone in no way. Because you're not going to stand in front of me or be on the phone with me and lie on the Lord and then think that's going to suffice and I'm not going to say nothing. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
29.
Uh-huh.
The people of the land have used oppression and exercised robbery and have vexed the poor and needy. Yea, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully.
Look, they oppressing the stranger, building robbery and bloodshed. They're doing all this in the land. In the land, amongst each other. Go ahead and read.
And I saw for a man among them that should make up the hedges and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it. But I found none.
He said, look, I'm looking for a man to stand in the gap, right? To show this people the way. He said, I didn't find not one. Man. All of the people, he couldn't find not one person to stand in the gap and to hedge it for a hedge and stand in the gap for his people. Verse 31, go ahead and read it.
Therefore I have poured out my indignation upon them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath. Their own way have I recompensed upon their heads, saith the Lord God.
He said, their own way have I recompensed upon their head. And you know that even today. You walk wicked before the Lord going to throw something on you. He's going to put some drama on you. So you know if he gave his word, when he gave his word to the children of Israel, and they supposed to be giving it to the rest of the nation, and they turn around and mess up, he bop them right upside the head. And he tell them every time, okay, I'm going to scatter you. I'm going to punish you, Israel. I'm going to scatter you amongst the heathen. First the Egyptians. Then it was the Assyrians. Then it was the Babylonians. Check this out. Here come the Medes and the Persians. They had them as slaves. Then here come the Greeks. They had them as slaves. And then finally, here come the Romans. They took them over as slaves. Like I tell you, people were kicked around like a soccer ball. Everybody got their turn with them. And the Lord, well, he was so patient and warned his people and warned these people for generations, until he just started putting them in captivity. Then he let them out, right? Go back into the land. What they do? Transgress against them again. I know he had to be up there like, oh man, what is wrong with these people? I done beat their heads in and whipped them and put them in captivity. I let them out. What they did? Go back to sinning again. Let's go to Hosea, the 4th chapter. Hosea 4. Hosea 4. Because Hosea told you about this robbery and bloodshed they were doing amongst each other. Hosea 4, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Hosea 4 and 1. Like I told you earlier, they was doing this against each other. They weren't doing it against the other people, the robbery and the bloodshed. They were doing it against each other. Hosea 4 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Hear the word of the Lord. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land.
Who are the inhabitants of the land? The children of Israel. Go ahead and read.
Because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land.
Oh, man. Look, this is the people that he gave it to. He said there's no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. None. Can you imagine this? And they still sitting in the land while this was going on. Go ahead and read.
2. do by swearing and lying and killing and stealing.
Go ahead.
And committing adultery. They break out and blood toucheth blood.
And blood toucheth blood. So, you know, we got that going on today. It's called black on black crime, they call it. But the people were doing this, our people were doing this when we were in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing. Wait a minute. Don't this sound familiar? This is what our people are doing now. It's like looking in a mirror at ourselves. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery. They break it out and blood touching blood. You know, it's more people. See, you hear about that that movement that they just had recently called Black Lives Matter. Okay, but you pointed at you're supposed to be pointing that finger not only at the Gentiles or other nations that's killing our people, but our own people that's killing our people. Because our own people kill more of us than anybody. Our own people. And it's mainly the young people that's doing all the killing, gang banging and everything. Talking about this my turf and this my turf and selling drugs. You don't own nothing. Amen. You don't own nothing. And don't think that the police and that the government not watching you standing on the corner. They let you sell your little drug. They trying to get the big guy. That's who they waiting on. But you see what he said? Lying and stealing and blood touching blood. Our people are doing these things now. We are doing this now. Nothing has changed with our people. And that's why the Lord has still continued to whoop on our heads. But this people they still don't get it. They don't get it. Keep reading. What verse you at? Skip to verse 5. Go ahead.
5. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day that the prophets also shall fall with thee in the night.
See, you know, the prophet, when we read about the prophets and the priest, he said, look, the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night.
And I will destroy thy mother.
Go ahead.
My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge.
Ooh. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. See, you can't be no simple-minded person and serve the God of Israel. You got to have some knowledge. Don't you know it's people in Israel that only got a 5th grade, 6th grade level? They understand this word of God, though. They understand the word of God. I mean, you like my grandkids. I mean, Jerry's daughter, she what, 5 years old? Her granddaughter, 5 years old? She understands this word of God. And one day, you will be smarter than your teachers in your school when it comes to this word of God. If the children stay in this, you're going to be smarter and wiser than your teachers one day. Go ahead and read.
My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be no priest to me.
Go ahead.
Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children.
Ooh. And the Lord has forgotten about the ones that don't want to follow his ways. The ones that don't want to follow his laws and commandments. He said, look, I'm going to forget your children too. And he has forgotten about it. Verse 7, go ahead and read.
As they were increased, so they sinned against me.
Go ahead.
Therefore I will change their glory into shame.
I'm going to change their glory into shame, because at one time this was a glorious people. We just didn't read about to you this year about the goodness that was in Israel and all the things that they did and how they served the Lord. We just didn't do that in this series this year. Maybe next year. Now, let's go now. Let's go to, we're getting down to it in a minute. Because this is going to hit you like a ton of bricks. We're going to set Israel on your doorstep. You're going to be looking right in the mirror at them. Let's go to Isaiah, the 43rd chapter. Isaiah 43, and we're going to pick it up in verse 27. Isaiah 43 and 27. Isaiah 43 and 27. Look at what happened to the children of Israel. Because if you keep my commandments, I'm going to bless you. And if you don't, I'm going to do what? Curse you. Isaiah 43 and 27. Go ahead and read it.
Thy first father hath sinned, and thy teachers have transgressed against me.
Go ahead.
Therefore I have profaned the princes of the sanctuary, and have given Jacob to the curse, and Israel to reproach.
Ooh, you see what happened to him? He said, look, I have given Jacob to the curse, and Israel to reproaches. So we know what happened to him now, right? They were given to the curses, because Jacob, that's Israel, right? Let's go now. Let's go to Daniel, the 9th chapter, Daniel 9. And we're going to pick it up at verse 4. Daniel 9 and 4. These people are cursed. And that's what is wrong with us. Because I know a lot of, even black people, they look at, man, what is wrong with our people? What's wrong with us? You know, why are we doing all these, committing all these crimes against one another? Why are people going to jail? Why are we a majority in the prison houses and a minority when it comes to this nation? And contrary to popular belief, the 12 tribes are not on the American continent. That 12 tribe chart, we're going to throw that out right out the window. So now, the children of Israel were given over to the curses. And that's what has happened to our people. And that's why we're going through the struggles that we're going through. And going through all the mishaps and, you know, and all the shootings and all of these things that's going on with our people.
Amen.
But Lord not going to let these people get away with killing our people. I don't care what nation you in, they killing Israelites. It's not just here in America. It's all over the world where the children of Israel have been dispersed.
Amen.
They are suffering discrimination, murder, all of these things, imprisonment, all of these things in all of these nations. And the Lord is not going to let the people who have done this to our people get away with it. Just like he's not letting you get away with you breaking his laws and commandments and statutes. He didn't let us get away with it, did he? So the ones that have been mistreating our people and doing us wrong, the Lord is not going to let them get away with it. But until then, Israel, you got to go through it. You're going to go through it. We're at Daniel 9 and 4. Daniel 9 and 4. Go ahead and read it.
And I prayed unto the Lord my God, and made my confessions, and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments.
Go ahead.
We have sinned, and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts, and from thy judgments.
Go ahead.
Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets.
See, neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets. So at this time, they wouldn't even listen to the prophets. Go ahead and read.
Which spake in
I'm talking about the prophets of the Lord. I'm not talking about those false prophets. I'm talking about like prophets like Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Daniel. They wouldn't listen to them. Go ahead and read.
Which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. As at this day to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off.
Go ahead.
Throughout all the countries whither thou hast driven them.
Wait a minute, stop right there. See, the Lord has scattered some people already. Look, because we read earlier, Egypt, which they all left there. But then they went into Assyria. Then they went into Babylon. And I could almost, I really haven't did a real research on it. But I can bet you right now, it's some Israelites in Iraq, because that's ancient Babylon. There's some Israelites there. In Assyria, there's some Israelites there. Go ahead and read.
Because of their trespasses, that they have trespassed against thee. O Lord, To us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings and to our princes and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee.
Skip to verse 11. Skip to verse 11. Go ahead.
Yea, all Israel has transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice.
Go ahead.
Therefore the curses is poured upon us.
Oh, there it is again. Therefore the curse is poured upon us. We got two witnesses now, right? We got Isaiah and we got Daniel right here. That the curses have been poured upon the children of Israel. Go ahead and read.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. And he hath confirmed his word.
He hath confirmed his word. And I'm going to show you. Again, in this generation, he hath confirmed his word. He has confirmed it. Go ahead and read.
Which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil.
Go ahead.
For under the whole heaven.
Now listen to this now. Let everybody pay attention. He said, for under the whole heaven,
hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem.
Under the whole heaven have not been done, done as have been done unto Jerusalem. Under the whole heaven. Now this thing right here that we get ready to start reading about, this have not been done under the whole heaven. And you can say the same thing about this one that's called a Negro. What has been done to him has not been done under the whole heaven. This Negro that everybody think is a Negro, but he's actually an Israelite. So now, just like I asked the brother the other day, hey, tell me, show me, give me some, read me something that showed me that people were dispersed among all the nations like we were. Because the Lord had Daniel writing right here, the whole heaven have not been done, that have been done into Jerusalem. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
13. As it is written in the law of Moses, that all this evil is come upon us. Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth.
And turn from our iniquities. And that's what our people need to do now. That's all we got to do, is turn from our iniquities and turn to the truth. What is the truth? Well, the commandments, that's the truth. Amen. The Lord's Sabbath days, that's the truth. Amen. The feast days, amen. That is the truth. And that's what our people need to do. Stop kicking against the Israelites. Because that's what everybody want to do. Kick against the Israelites. Let's go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Because he said the oath that was written in the law of Moses, he had confirmed his words in Moses. Let's go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28th chapter. Deuteronomy 28, and we're going to pick it up at verse 15 again. Pick it up at verse 15 again, then we're going to skip to verse 25. Deuteronomy 28 and 15. Go ahead and read it. Let's get that map ready. Now we're going to show you without a doubt who we are and what has happened to our people and why it has happened to our people. Deuteronomy 28:15. Go ahead and read it.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of thy Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and his statutes, which I have commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be in thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of the land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Now, so he just reversed it. He said, first he told you you're going to be blessed in all of these things. Now he's saying, if you don't keep my commandments, you're going to be cursed in all of these things. And we saw what happened to the children of Israel. The curse was poured upon us. The curse was poured upon us. Skip to verse 25. What does that say?
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Ding, 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 ding. Bell should go off in your head right now. He said, you're going to be removed, Israel's going to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Skip to verse 62. Skip to verse 62. Go ahead and read it.
And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for a multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of thy Lord thy God.
He said, look, you were as the stars of heaven for multitude. There's a bunch of y'all. But since y'all wouldn't obey my voice, now some to the sword, some to captivity, some to famine. The Lord really put it on this people. So now he's going to scatter the people throughout the countries and among the nations. Go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught.
He said he rejoiced to do you good, now he rejoiced to destroy you and to bring you to nothing. Go ahead and read.
And ye shall be plucked off. You shall be plucked from off the land whither thou was goest.
See, not like you hear now, how these people calling themselves Jews that migrated to the land. You understand? These people right here, and then they turn around, and then some of the people start coming to, some of the Jews start coming to America. Some of them start going to Europe. But they migrated. These people right here, the children of Israel, the real children of Israel, the true Israelites, were plucked off the land. Removed. That means somebody gonna come get you and take you. That's what remove means, right? That's what pluck means. Not you gonna migrate. Because that's how the people got here, the one that called themselves Jews. They migrated here. They came, got on the ship, came right through Ellis Island, and then set up their communities. And that's how they did it in Europe. In the 3rd century, they went over in Europe, were harassed by the Europeans for a little while. In 212 AD, they got their citizenship. But in 212 AD, the children of Israel was supposed to be doing what? Getting carted off into all the kingdoms of the earth. But these people migrated to the 1st century, rather, and then they got their citizenship in the 3rd century, and then they started doing what? Setting up communities, bankers, lawyers. You understand? Businessmen. And that was in 212 AD, when the children of Israel were being carted off around the world in slavery. Verse 64, read that.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
Among who? All people. All people. So everywhere you go, what nation you go in, the children of Israel are there. I remember one time a Guatemalan guy, we were working at the same place. And so we were talking and everything, and he was telling me about their tourist attractions and everything. He brought me a VHS video. Y'all remember the VHS? I plugged it in. Check this out. Bam, 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 bam. There goes some black people. I come back to him, I say, yeah, man, y'all got a nice country and everything. I said, but y'all got black people over y'all. He said, man, don't you know black people are in all nations? I was like, whoa. Now, only our people don't know this, but everybody else knows this, all except us. And I'm going to show you why the masses of our people, most of our people don't know this. I'm going to show you why. Just hold on for 1 minute. What verse you in that?
64.
Finish it.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Are we serving everybody else's gods? We're serving everybody else's gods but our own. We in the Catholics. We in the Muslims. We in Buddhism. We in all your major religions. All except our own. You try to take somebody, an Israelite, say, look, man, you Israel, come on, let me show you. Man, I don't want to hear that. I ain't trying to, you take it to your family members. Look, do you know this boy said he ain't eating pork no more? Talking about he's some Israelite. Talking about he going to church on Saturday, on the Sabbath. We don't keep the Sabbath, we keep Sunday. That's God's Sabbath day. You be like, no, mama, no, daddy, the Sabbath day of the week, here it is, right? I don't care what that book says. Let's go now. Let's go. We're going to show you something here. Let's go to this world map. Is that right? Okay. Now just imagine that. He said you're going to be dispersed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So we got Europe up here. We got Africa down here. We got Russia, which is in North America. Not North America, but northeastern Europe. We got Asia right here, and we got Americas down here somewhere. Yeah, over here rather. I'm sorry, over here. So now, did I get that messed up? I can't really see it that well, but anyway, y'all get the idea what I'm saying. So we just put it like this: the children of Israel were dispersed among all the nations. Y'all see it now? Among all the nations. This is a big world, ain't it? Amen. This is a big world. Now, let's go now. Let's go, because some of the children of Israel have been scattered even back in the 1st century. And then James was telling them about this. We're going to James, the 1st chapter, James 1:1. James was speaking of this. James 1:1. James 1:1. Go ahead and read that.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
See, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. See, you had 3 tribes in Israel at this time. The rest of the tribes have been scattered abroad on the African continent. So 3 from 12 is left what? 9. Right? So 9 of the tribes are on the African continent. Does everybody understand? Amen. So because James at this time, he was in Israel. And so you had 3 tribes there: Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And these were the ones who rebuilt the 2nd temple during the times of Ezra and Nehemiah. Jesus had to have some place to come to when he came to his people. So his people were in Jerusalem, in Israel, right? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And the rest of the tribes have been scattered. So let's go and look at some of the places where the tribes have been scattered already. Let's go to Acts the 2nd chapter. Acts the 2nd chapter. Acts 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. Acts 2 and 5. So much for that 12 tribe chart that they got floating around. You might well tear that up, because the 12 tribes are not on the American continent. The 12 tribes are scattered throughout the earth. Throughout the earth. Not just, that don't even make sense. The Lord said, I'm going to scatter you among all the nations. Why would all 12 tribes be right here on the American continent then? You had the brothers standing there talking about, here go Gad, talking about the Indians. I'm like, boy, this guy, he is native of this continent. Native, which means his people were conceived on this continent. He is not an Israelite. The Israelites were brought from or removed from Israel to the rest of the nations. Then they say say the Hispanic people, oh, yeah, that's our brother Ephraim or Manasseh, whatever they call him. You ain't neither one of them. Neither one. How could he be an Israelite when his father came from Europe and his mama was an Indian right here on this continent? How could he be an Israelite? No. It don't make sense. So you need to take that 12 tribe chart you got, Israel, and tear, I know you're Israelite, tear that 12 tribe chart up. The only one you got right on there is the Negro, and that's Judah. Amen. I know my sister love to hear that. Because they were sick. When I told them, we might not be the Jews. They were sick. But it looks like we are the Jews from the tribe of Judah. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that. Can't show you everything today. So now, where are we at now, brother? We at Acts, the 2nd chapter. Pick it up at verse 5. Go ahead and read it.
And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now, Jews, not every man from under every nation under heaven. Jews, devout men from every nation. Because some people want to make this out to be all nations. It said Jews, devout men from every nation under heaven. That is plain as day. Go ahead and read. What verse you at? 5, right? Yes. Skip to verse 9. Skip to verse 9. We're going to eat and we're going to move on. Go ahead and read it. Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and
Stop right there. Hold on a second. He said Parthians and Medes and Elamites. Elamites, that originally was a black country, right? Which is present-day Babylon. Now, they call it Babylon too now. But anyway, so now it said, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, that was originally an African country. Mesopotamia, because you had the Hanarubai that dwelled in Mesopotamia. Then here come the Chaldeans with Nebuchadnezzar, took the land from these Africans and took it over, right? He said in Judea. In Judea, that was originally what? A Canaanite or African country. But at this time, the Israelites, who were a black people, we showed you that in the last lesson, were there, or were there at this time. He said in Cappadocia,
in Pontus, and Asia.
Go ahead.
Phrygia.
Pamphylia,
and Pamphylia.
Go ahead.
In Egypt.
In Egypt, that's Cush. That's Ham's first oldest son. I'm sorry, second oldest son, Mizraim, right? Go ahead and read.
In Egypt and in parts of Libya.
Stop right there. Libya. That is Ham's third oldest son, Put. Everybody understand? Amen. So because now you got Israelites in black countries right here. And I'm going to show you in the next lesson, this is where a lot of them are going to be recovered from. African nations, or once was an African nation. Because at this time right here, when they were in Egypt, the Arabs had not came in and taken over the land. Remember, the Arabs didn't come and take over the land of Egypt until around the 6th century AD. So we are looking at some 600 years later when the Arabs came in and took over Egypt. Now go check out your history and look at that. Because some people want to make Arabs Egyptians. When the Arabs came out of Shem and the Egyptians came out of who? Ham. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
10. Phrygia and Pamphylia in Egypt and in parts of Libya about Cyrene and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes.
Jews and proselytes. Go ahead and read it.
Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our own tongues the wonderful works of God.
Now, so he said Cretes and Arabians. Now you know that the Arabs had slaves. We're going to show you this. Now you go all the way back to Joseph when the Arabs or the Ishmaelites were trading slaves. Don't you know that the Arabs had traded slaves for 14, I'm talking about the children of Israel now, traded them for 1,400 years, longer than anyone. You never do hear about the Arab slave trade. You only hear about the transatlantic slave trade. And then you want to know who they say who the whole or the sole perpetrator of the Atlantic slave trade is? They say it's the Gentile or the white man. That is wrong. He is not the sole perpetrator of the Atlantic slave trade. It was the Arabs. It was the Edomite Jews, the ones that called themselves Jews. The ones, that, the Europeans or the Gentiles that come along till later to start trade slaves. We're going to show you this. That's how we know who we are, according to the Bible and according to history. We know who we are. So everybody just pay attention, because we are going to show you today. Let's go now. Let's go. We're going to read an article here about the Ethiopian Jews. So we want to pull that up on the screen. Right here, Rob. We're going to read this. Now look at what this young lady said. Now remember, we already read that the children of Israel, it was in Egypt and in Libya, right? That's two black countries. And Elamites, that's another black country, but that's another story. Those Shemites. So now we're going to read you something about this young lady right here. This young man right here. And if you see the picture right there, you see that's a young lady. She's black. These are Ethiopian Jews, descendants from Dan, the tribe of Dan. Now look at what this young man said right here. So we're going to start reading right here. And then read this. Okay. Just what's highlighted. All right? Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right.
Teshiger, a 20-year-old Falash Murrah immigrant sees the conversion process as an attack on the authenticity of his heritage.
Now, so he said, this guy right here, 20 years old, he's a Falasha. Falasha in Ethiopia means stranger. And so these people from the tribe of Dan, right? So they said, look, when they got taken over to Israel, he said, look, they're questioning or attacking our authenticity. They're trying to say that we're not Israelites. But hold on 1 minute, because he's going to set the record straight here. They know, most of the people know that these are really the ancient Israelites. Now they know that these people right here are the ancient Israelites, the original Israelites. Otherwise, why would they have come in the 80s and grabbed them out of Ethiopia and brought them to the land? Now, I got my suspicions about that, but I really don't teach my suspicions. But I will say this. I think the Lord said, well, look, we can't have a tribe lacking in Israel, so let me go over here and get my people. And check it out. He had the ones that's called Jews to go over to Ethiopia and to get this people out of there. Well, look at what he said. Go ahead and read.
It destroyed my faith, he says. We were Jews for 3,000 years.
Stop right there. We were Jews for 3,000 years. Well, wait a minute. Jesus go back to what? 2,000 years, right? So this go back 1,000 years before Jesus. He said, and they got records too. Going back 3,000 years, 1,000 years before Christ. He said, we've been Jews for 3,000 years.
That's why I came here. This country has been in existence for 50 years.
Stop right there. Now, this is when in 1948, when the so-called Israelites, which Israelis, which were Israelites, went back to Jerusalem and claimed it as their state or their country. 50 years. Go ahead and read. He said, we've been Jews for 3,000 years. This country only been in existence for 50 years. These people, go ahead and read.
How do they have the right to decide who is Jewish?
Stop right there. He said, well, how do they have the right to? We've been Jews for 3,000 years. Y'all only been around for 50 years. How do y'all have the right to decide who's the Jews? Go ahead and read.
To say that only whites are Jews.
To say that only, well, I got something for you. There's no such thing as a white Jew. No such thing. All the Jews are black. All of them. They are black. But you see what this guy said? We've been Jews for 3,000 years. Y'all only been around for 50 years. How y'all have a right to say who are Jews and who are not Jews? But now, if you ask a lot of them now, they'll say, yeah, you come here and tell them. Say, I remember one time I went to I was working on my job, and I went to a place where the Edomites, they was getting ready for the war, the blowing of the trumpets. And so I knew it, so I run up in there, start talking to the guy. Then he hurry up and speed off on his forklift. I said, oh, well, when you come back, I want to talk to you. So I started questioning him about the memorial, the blowing of the trumpets. And he's like, how do you know about this? Are you a Hebrew? You a black Hebrew? I said, yep. He said, okay, I'll be right back. It took off again. They understand that, a lot of them understand that we are the children of Israel. Right. The original Jews. Amen. The first Jews. So this young lady said, we've been Jews for 3,000 years. Y'all don't have no right to say who's Jews and who are not Jews. Let's go now. Let's go to Luke, the 21st chapter, Luke 21. Because remember that Moses told you that Israel, you're going to be dispersed among all the nations. All the nations. You're going to be removed to all the kingdoms of the earth. I'm going to scatter you throughout the countries. Luke 21, and we're going to pick up at verse 20. Luke 21 and verse 20. Go ahead and read it.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst thereof depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance.
Now wait a minute, let's go back for a minute. Let's go back. Start at verse 20, start again. 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. Stop right there. Stop. You see what he just said? Let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. And we read earlier that a lot of Jews fled from Israel, right? Then let them which are in the Judea flee to the mountains,
and let them which are in the midst thereof depart out.
Go ahead.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance.
For these be the days of vengeance,
that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
There shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. Who is this people? The children of Israel. The Jews. Verse 24, what does it say?
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Stop right there. He said, let's pull that slide up. We're going to show the destruction of Jerusalem, and we want to read that verse 24 one more time. Go ahead and read it.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They shall fall by the edge of the sword,
and shall be led away captives unto all nations.
They're going to be led away captive into all nations. This right here happened in 70 AD, the destruction of Jerusalem. And we got this out the Atlas of the Bible, where the children of Israel were being destroyed. But remember, he told some of them to flee. Flee into the mountains, right? And we read earlier that a lot of the Jews fled. But just check out where I'm going with this. Go ahead and finish that.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Now, we're going to go to the next slide. Now, This next slide is showing you. This is, first right here, this slide right here is showing you the Canaan, right? The land of Canaan, that is Israel. Then here is Egypt right here. So, it wasn't nothing for the children of Israel to flee from Israel to Egypt, because that will show you, that's what they did. They fled from Israel to Egypt, right? And so you got Egypt right here. Then you got Cush. This is Ethiopia right here. This is this Put right here. This Libya, right? And so now, so you got all the four brothers right here. Here's Ethiopia. So remember, they had been in Ethiopia for 3,000 years. This Cush right here. So they came from here and went down to here. But when the children of Israel, when Jesus was born, where did the Lord send them to? Egypt. Why? Why would he send them to Egypt? Why did he send them to one of the Europeans? Why did he send them to Rome? He sent them to Egypt because the Egyptians black and the Israelites are black. And so when they fled, hey, if the Romans looking for me, when they sacked Jerusalem, they started fleeing. Hey, they look for me, they're going to really have to do some searching, because all of us black. So now, otherwise, they would have fled to Rome. Amen. Right? Because if they had been white like they look today, they would have fled to Egypt. They set up like a sore thumb. Grab him. Oh, there's another family right there. Grab them too. Amen. But they fled, and look, they already on the African continent, so it wasn't not for them to flee in Egypt. That's where they came from, Egypt. Then they went into Canaan, or Israel right here. So now they just came back out, fled, some in Egypt. Here goes the Cush down here, Libya. You understand? They still on the African continent. Does everybody understand? Amen. I'm not going to flee to Rome or to Europe. Why would I flee there? They really know who I am then. Right. Let's go now. Let's go to that next map. We got another map, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, sis. I get a little excited. All right, so this second map right here. This right here is showing, they call it Middle East, so we'll just call this Israel. I wish we could have changed that. So now, this is Israel right here, Middle East. Then they came right on over to Egypt. Then they fled into West Africa as well. Cush. Where's Cush at? I can't make it out right here. Cush is right here. Some went into Ethiopia, Cush. Some went into Ghana, West Africa, right there. Everybody see that? West Africa, Ghana. And look, this is where they're saying the Jews went. The Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Because you know, Benjamin and Levi were also called Jews. Okay? Not just Judah. But hold on one second. Don't get worried, sis. All right, now, let's go now. Let's go to Isaiah, the 30th chapter. Isaiah 30. Isaiah 30. Just hold on, we'll show you some more. Because we know who we are. Salvation of the Jews. Isaiah 30, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Isaiah 30 and verse 1. We got another slide? No, we don't have another slide yet. Just hold that slide. We're at Isaiah 30. Do we have another slide? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, so now we showed you a picture of Ghana. We showed you a picture of Ghana, right? Now, this slide right here is called, this is in West Africa, by the way, Ghana, Sierra Leone, the Slave Coast, the Gold Coast, and guess who else? Judah. Now here, this is the territory in West Africa called Negro land, right? Over here is Sierra Leone and all the other West African countries over here. But right here is a country called Judah, just above the slave coast. Don't you now, let me ask you something too, by the way. So now here's a close-up picture right here of Ghana, and here's the slave coast right here, and here is Judah. No, I'm sorry. Let me get my, yes, thank you. Judah right here. Right here. Here's the slave coast right here, and here's Judah right here. In west, here's the Gold Coast, Slave Coast. Y'all see, I know it's probably too small for y'all to see, but you'll see it later when you look at the video. Okay, so now, remember he told some of them to flee, and that's where they fled to, the Jews. They fled to West Africa. Some were already in Cush or Ethiopia, right? Now, let's go, do we have another slide? Okay, let's go now. Let's go to Isaiah 30, and we're going to pick it up in verse 1. Because it was nothing for the children of Israel to flee into another country or into Egypt, because they were right there on the African continent. Let's go ahead, Isaiah 30 and 1. Isaiah 30 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Woe to the rebellious children.
Now, I want to ask y'all something. Hold on 1 second. Now, the ones that's being sold on the African continent in West Africa were Jews. Now, do you think, because we're going to show you a little bit about the Arab slave trade, you think that the people that call themselves Africa and West Africa, they would have been trading their own people?
No.
Huh? What, do you think they're going to trade their own people? No. They weren't trading. And Ghana was a major slave trading port. Ghana was. I'm going to show you. But were they selling their own people? No. And then the Arabs came in and was buying. They were trading with them. The Arabs. I'm telling you, man, this thing is big. It's way bigger than what we have been taught. It's way bigger than what we've been taught. We're at Isaiah 30 and 1. Isaiah 30 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they might add sin to sin.
See, he said he still come and say rebellious how? They don't take they take not counsel of me, right? And but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. So they sinning more and more. Look at what he said about them. Go ahead and read.
That walk to go down into Egypt.
They walk to do what?
To go down in Egypt.
Walk to go down into Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? See, it was nothing for them to walk to go down into Egypt. See, they want to try to hide from the Lord. So they walked to go down to Egypt. So what's the problem with them walking to go into Ghana, into West Africa? What's the problem with them walking down into Ethiopia? They were already on the same continent. The Lord told them to flee, didn't it? What's the first place I'm going to flee? I'm going to flee to people who look just like me. A place that's familiar.
West Africa.
Egypt, West Africa, Ethiopia. They fled into these lands that they were familiar with, because this is a continent that they were on. Does everybody understand? I want y'all to really understand it. Because remember, he said flee into the mountains, didn't he?
Amen.
Now read that verse 2 one more time.
That walk to go down into Egypt.
And
have not,
I'm sorry, he said that walk to go down into Egypt,
and have not asked at my mouth.
See, you haven't asked at my mouth. You haven't asked counsel of me. You going down to Egypt. They went down to Egypt at this time to go try to hide from the Lord. But the Lord said, I'm going to bust your head and Egypt's head too. I'm going to get both of y'all. Go ahead and read.
To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh.
See, you're going to strengthen yourselves in the strength of Pharaoh.
And to trust in the shadows of Egypt.
And trust in the shadows of Egypt. But you see how they got into Egypt? They walked in Egypt. So what's the problem with them fleeing on into Cush or Ghana? Go ahead and read.
Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion.
Go ahead.
For this princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hades, and were all ashamed of a people that could not profit.
They said they were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them. These Egyptians could, because once the Lord put a whooping on you, nobody can save you. You think, oh, we're in the greatest country in the world. Those curses still following you, Mr. Israelite. Still following you. Go ahead and read.
Nor be in help nor profit, but a shame and also
a shame and a reproach. That's what these people going to be to you, a shame and a reproach. Is what you see, how they got into Egypt? They walked. How they get into West Africa? They walked. They fled. Let's go now. Let's go to, do we have something here? Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. Deuteronomy 32. Just hold on, because we're not done. Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to read verse 26. Deuteronomy 32 and 26. Go ahead and read it.
I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Most people don't know who we are. Some people do. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of people don't know who we are. Even our own people don't know who we are. That's why when we go and try to show it to them in the Bible and read it in history, they won't accept it. Yeah, I'm not no Jew. I'm not no Israelite. Because he said, I'm going to scatter you in the corners. I'm going to scatter you amongst the four corners of the earth. And I'm going to cause your name to cease from among men. Now let's see who he got to do this. Let's go to Psalms 83. Psalms 83. Let's see who he got to help do this. Psalms 83, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Psalms 83 and 1. I tell you, man, this thing is really something, man. This is one of the greatest stories ever told. Although it is a sad story right now, but it's going to be a beautiful story in the end. That next lesson is the gathering of the children of Israel, or the Israelites. The next lesson is a beautiful thing. Hallelujah. It is going to be a beautiful thing. So we're going through it now. We're going to continue to go through it until the Lord comes. Remember one time brother told me, Israelite brother, they tried to get me to come over and join them. So I went with one of the brothers because I knew him. And so they looking at me strange and everything. And my brothers told me, man, don't go over there. But me being pig-headed and stubborn, I went anyway. So they looking at me sideways and everything and talking about, yeah, man, you over there waiting on the pie in the sky and everything. In other words, you waiting on Jesus to come back. Jesus not coming back. Now, these were Israelites saying this. And so, of course, I told them, well, look, man, the Bible said, here go the book right here. The book said he coming back. And that's what we waiting on. So you call pie in the sky, whatever you want to call it. But we still waiting on him. And we're going to continue to wait on him.
Amen.
Psalms 83. Who conspired against the children of Israel? Who did your Lord use to conspire against the children of Israel? Psalms 83 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Keep not thou silent, O God. Hold not thy peace. And be not still, O God.
Go ahead.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Now look, he said, they that hate thee. Now, these people right here, what we get better read about are our relatives. They came up with Abraham. Right? Ishmael came up with Abraham. Edom, later on, he came. He understood Abraham was his father. But yet, they hate the Lord. Ishmael was circumcised. Esau was circumcised. Isaac circumcised. Jacob circumcised. These people were circumcised, but yet they hate the Lord. Go ahead and read.
3.
Uh-huh.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people,
Uh-huh.
and have consulted against thy hidden
Look,
ones.
they have taken crafty. These people were crafty in their deeds against the children of Israel. Crafty. Because everybody want to try to blame it on the white man. Only rich white people had slaves. The poor white people, they did not have slaves. It was the Edomites. It was the rich white people. And it was the Arabs that had slaves. Go back and read your history. And you will see. See, we have been told lies. You know, everybody want to blame it on the white man. If you really want to blame it on somebody, you blame it on the Lord. But you can't blame it on him because he warned our people. Amen. From century to century, he kept warning us. Didn't he say, I'm going to bring this punishment on your children?
Amen.
Anyway, go ahead and read some more, brother.
4.
Uh-huh.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, and the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
And they have done it. It's just a small minority of us that's calling ourselves Israelites. The majority of our people in this country, they don't know about no, man, get out of here with that Israel stuff. If you go to Jamaica, you got a small minority of people that says, look, we are Israelites. They still call it Haile Selassie, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which I don't know where they get that from, because he's from Ethiopia, and he's an Ethiopian royalty at that, right? So, but a small majority of them, even Bob Marley song about us being the children of Israel in Jamaica. A lot of your countries that you go to or that you know of, a small minority of them know that we are the children of Israel. Even see some in Britain standing there with the costume. Well, I ain't going to say that. They had their dress on with the microphone in their hand telling the people that we are the children of Israel, preaching the gospel. Then the Bobby come up and say, okay, move it on. You know. But it's all over the world now. Small minorities of us standing up saying that we're the Israelites. Now look at the people that were confederate against the children of Israel. Verse 6, go ahead and read it.
The tabernacles of Edom.
Oh, wait a minute. Edom, who was that? That's Israel's twin brother. His older twin brother. The tabernacle of Edom, the one that's calling himself a Jew today. Go ahead and read.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, who are the ones that's fighting over the land now? The Edomite Jews and the Arabs. Because remember they say, come, let us cut them off. Because the Lord had written, we're going to cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Right? So he said, for they are consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacle of Edom and the Ishmaelites,
of Moab, and the Hagarenes,
go ahead,
Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek, and
go
the
ahead.
Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Look at all these people that conspired against the children of Israel to cut them off from being a nation. But who was at the top of the list? Edom. And who else? Ishmael, which are the Arabs. The Arabs been trading slaves for thousands of years. And they still trade slaves today. One day over in Libya, we just see a report of slaves being traded over in Libya just last year. And everybody want to act like they all outraged and everything. Those Arabs been trading slaves for thousands of years. You go all the way back to Joseph, where he was sold to some Ishmaelites. Then they turned around and sold him to who? The Egyptians. These people still selling slaves today. But we're going to show you when it comes to the children of Israel, because those people in Ghana were not, and they're even apologizing now for selling slaves in Ghana. Don't you know that Ghana was you see what it said, Gold Coast? They had gold, they had fine silk and materials and wealth in Ghana, a major slave trading port in Ghana. I'm telling you, man, this thing is big. They weren't selling their own people. You even had the Arabs coming there trading slaves. The Arabs would trade slaves all over the African continent. Just like the Bible says. Let's go now. Let's go to, we're going to show this slide right here. The Arab Edomite slave trading network. A well-kept secret. West Africa was part of a major trading network long before the arrival of the Europeans. From ancient times, there were trade routes across the Sahara linking the north and west of the continent. Right? In the Saharas. Who is the Sahara Desert? The Arabs. They traded slaves. Camel caravans took salt, copper, horses, and other goods south to West Africa. See? They trade with West Africa. You give us these slaves, and we're going to give you all these goods. Does everybody understand where I'm going with this?
Amen.
Just hold on for a minute. So now, and brought gold, ivory, cola nuts. Okay, let me just go back. Camel caravans took salt, copper, horses, and other goods south to West Africa and brought gold, ivory, cola nuts, hides, grains, and slaves back to North Africa. See, they went to West Africa, sold them trinkets or whatever they had, got the slaves and took them to North Africa. After the rise of the powerful Muslim states in North Africa in the early 8th century A.D., the Islamic religion moved gradually south with the traders and trade goods. So now you have a picture of slaves right here at the top, right there to the right. You got Arab slave market right here. Then you got another, this is the trading in West Africa right here, the Saharas. And then you got another picture of the Arab trade slave or slaves in tow. Did the Lord say you're going to be led away captive in all nations? What are they doing? Leading them into African countries. Right? So just hold on for a minute. So now, let's go to the Judah, infamous Judah slave port. Isn't that right? All right, now, the infamous Judah slave port. Yes. You see it? You don't have it. Okay, you got it, Aaron?
It's on the folder.
Okay, just hold on 1 second. We want to show you this. Oh, there it is. Aaron, which folder? Just give us a second here. Sit that one right there. Okay, this right here is called, now this is in Benin, West Africa. Okay, this is the infamous Judah, or they had different names for the for this port right here. It didn't pop up. Okay, thank you. Okay, so they had different names for Judah. So this is in West Africa right here. It's the infamous Judah Ida slave port in Benin, West Africa, from which millions of African slaves were scattered to the four corners of the earth. Now wait a minute. You think those Africans or the Ghanaians were trading their own people? No. They weren't trading their own people. They are trading Israelite slaves, not African slaves. Let's go to, we got another slide here, right? No, we got a video here. Let's go to the video. Yes. This is called the door of no return.
They seem endless in Ghana's Cape Coast, yet all are rarely explored by people outside Ghana. In fishing towns like Elmina, we saw the same scenes that have played out for decades, Ghanaians scraping together a meager living. And yet some hope is on the horizon, and it comes from one of the darkest chapters in African history.
So they would keep the females in this dungeon?
Yes, this was purposely for the women and children. It was designed to took about between 500 and 800 women and children. And they lived here almost in the same conditions as the men. Right, probably the only thing different here probably was the door behind you.
Kwesi Iso Blankson marks this moment with reverence as he goes on to explain the inhumane conditions. Slaves living on little food, water, or air, eating, sleeping, defecating side by side in suffocating conditions. Blankson is a senior educator here.
And what is that door?
That was through that door, soldiers and officials came in to select the women. They washed them and abused them.
Rape them?
Yes, rape them. And after they brought them back.
The children and the women?
Yes.
And this went on every day?
This went on every day.
Cape Coast Castle was once the most active slave trading hub in West Africa. For nearly 4 centuries, millions of Africans were captured like animals and shipped across the Atlantic to a future they could never imagine.
So, Blankson, they would be spending up to 3 months in the dungeon, and then when they came out?
The door of no return.
If you qualify to go through this, you never come back.
But their direct descendants, known as Roots Tourism, thousands from the U.S. and around the world, are taking in the horror and what it means for their shared family history. Monique Ross and Jacques Wallace are here from New York.
It's a little devastating at first, but it's good to know the history of what has happened and how to kind of connect, you know, your historical past with things that has happened.
U.S. President Barack Obama made the emotional pilgrimage in 2009, and Blankson was his guide.
What was his reaction to what you told him?
Surprised, shocked, sad, and also motivated.
Motivated?
Yes, yes. Because if blacks survived the ordeals they went through this, then it's a survivor for human beings. It shows that we have a high survival instinct. And that has gone to help rejuvenate the town, the community.
That this castle of death could now be a lifeline for Cape Coast is no small irony. The American poet Maya Angelou writes that it is a historical truth. No man can know where he's going unless he knows exactly where he's been. Paula Newton, CNN, Cape Coast, Ghana.
Okay, so now that place is still in Africa as a tourist attraction now in West Africa called the Door of No Return. You see where it said millions of slaves were taken from there over 400 years or 4 centuries. 400 years. Don't you know that the Arabs had slaves or traded slaves for 1,400 years? Go ahead and read that, Rob.
Arab slave trade. Bernard Lewis writes, in one of the sad paradoxes of human history, the Arab slave trade is sometimes called the Islamic slave trade.
Turn that page, go back.
Arab or Islamic slave trade lasts much longer than the Atlantic or European slave trade.
Stop right there. You see that? The Arab slave trade lasted longer than the transatlantic or the European slave trade. Much longer. Go ahead and read.
It began in the middle of the 7th century and survives today in Mauritania and Sudan. With Islamic slave trade, we're taking of 14 centuries rather than 4.
Okay, it said with the Islamic slave trade, we're talking of 14 centuries rather than 4. So they say the transatlantic slave trade only happened for 400 years, but the Arab slave trade, 14 centuries. That's 1,400 years. The Arabs. Now, why don't we hear about this? We always, and then why would you go and join up with these people call themselves? Now, I don't got no problem with Islam. You want to serve your God? Hey, Arabs, you want to serve your? I don't have no problem with that. But Israel, you don't have no business following after these people with Islam, talking about this is our God. This is not our God. These people had us in slavery longer than anybody. 14 centuries. That's 1,400 years. The transatlantic slave was only 400 years. But go ahead and read.
Further, whereas the gender ratio to slaves in the Atlantic trade was 2 males to every female.
2 males to every female. But in the Arab slave trade, go ahead.
In the Islamic trade, it was 2 females to every male.
2 females to every male. Go ahead.
In the 8th century, Africa was dominated by Arab Berbers on the north.
In the north. So it said in the 8th century, Africa was dominated by the Arab Berbers in the north. So the Arabs taking over Africa. Because I'm going to tell you like this, to be real with you, you either been in, when it comes to Africa and the Americas, you've only been, you've been Islamicized or Christianized. And that is the truth. You've been either Islamicized or Christianized for the most part. Go ahead and read.
Islam moved southwards along the Nile and along the desert trails.
Didn't we just read they were in the desert with the desert caravans? The Arabs were trained slaves for 1,400 years. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 chapter. Deuteronomy 28. And we're going to pick it up at verse 64. Deuteronomy 28, 64. We're going to pick it up where we left off at. Deuteronomy 28 and 64. This thing is really something. It is really deep. And if you talk about black history, I haven't shown this is just the tip of the iceberg, really. But we're just looking at the scattering of Israel. We really haven't been looking at the curses. We're just looking at the scattering. Deuteronomy 28, 64. Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And there's so much dealing with this title or topic that you could just deal with the scattering of Israel, really. Because we used to do a lesson called the scattering and gathering of Israel, but now it's so much now we can just deal with the scattering of Israel. Then we can come along like we're going to do next time and deal with the gathering of Israel. Because it's so much. And here it is right before our eyes and right before our face and right before the world's eyes and the world's face, and they just won't, nobody paying no attention to it. Who is blind is my servant and deaf is my messenger that I have sent. Seeing many things, but thou observe not. Open the ears, but thou hearest not. This people is robbed and spoiled. Thou art snared in holes and hid in prison houses. We could have took you there too. But let's go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 64. Go ahead and read it.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other end. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which have neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
He said you're going to serve other gods, wood and stone.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
Go ahead.
And thy life shall hang in the doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night.
Now, who is this? This even today. Our people, a lot of us older people don't want to walk down the street. You can't even take your children to the park hardly no more. Because you got these little hoodlums and thugs out here, little Israelites, terrorizing the neighborhoods. Then when they get shot, oh, my son, my child, he didn't do nothing. Yes, he was. Yes, he did. He run around with a gun, and you know he was running around with a gun, running around with gangs and all. You knew that already. Then the little Israelites can't even shoot. They shoot innocent people. Can't even look. Go ahead and read, brother.
And shall have none ease, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And in the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even.
Look, in the morning you say, man, I wish to God it was evening. Go ahead and read.
And at even thou would say, would God it were morning.
And in the evening you're going to say, man, I wish it was morning. Go ahead and read.
For the fear of thine own heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
See, we got the neighborhoods, the hood, got it. You're talking about terrorized. They got the people in their own neighborhoods terrorized. You understand? Our own people, our own young people, running around, shooting up each other and killing each other. We read earlier, blood touching blood, right? And that's what's going on in our neighborhoods now. Don't you know all of this has been prophesied already? Even the ones that's killing, the Gentiles or the police that's coming in and killing our people, that's written in the book. Go to Leviticus, the 26th chapter. Say, your people are going to be slain before their enemies. Ooh-wee. Go ahead and read, brother.
68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
He's going to bring you into bondage. That's what Egypt means. Bondage again with what?
Ships.
Ships. Go ahead and read.
By the way thereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
He said you're going to be going to Egypt or in bondage again on ships, and then you're going to be sold unto your enemy for bondmen and for bondwomen. Now, we're going to look at this quick video. I usually don't have two quick videos back to back, but this lesson calls for it.
Before the day was dawning, all on the bowling hall.
Belay the starboard sheet.
All on the bowling, the fore and main, the bowling. All on the bowling hall. Well, all on the bowling, the cook is a prowling. All on the bowling hall. All on the bowling, the razor brings your bed. All on the bowling
Kunta Kinte.
Rest now.
Will they come after us, our warriors?
No. We're too far away. The canoe house has traveled for 3 days now.
Our warriors will follow?
There's no trail in the water. No trail to follow.
We are alone.
Oh, there are other Mandinka men. I heard a shout, but I don't know.
Kunta! Kunta Kinte! Kunta! Listen to me. Listen to me.
There are other tribes. I've heard their word. The Wolof, the Fulani, the Seriri, and some I do not know.
We're not alone.
Wrestler, when the big canoe moved, my stomach came up into my mouth and spilled. I am ashamed.
Do not be ashamed. Happened to me.
Yeah.
Now when my stomach comes up, there is nothing. Only bitter spit.
Wrestler, I am a man, a warrior.
Kunta, we have been chained in the white man's canoe house for many days now. Allah sees. He understands. He knows you are a man. He knows.
Aye, sir. It's time to get him above hatches and dance him, sir. Gotta have exercise, keep him in condition. Gives us a chance to muck out the hold. The stench of him, sir. A bile puking smell down there. Besides, we can cull out them what ain't worth feeding.
Yes, yes, yes.
And look over the wenches.
Very well, Mr.
Okay, that's the end of that video. Now, what I was trying to give you was a picture of how the slave ships were when they were coming over to Europe, America, and Asia. You see what he said, a vile smell coming from that ship. And you know, we saw a picture earlier with the slaves. Those were slaves that you saw, infamous Judah slave port. Those were slaves stacked up on the ship. And so they said, it's the white man's this and the white man this, but you know who had the slave ships? The ones that call themselves Jews. They are the ones who had the slave ships. That's how we know that those people are not the real Jews and that we are. Because they were the captors, not the captives. I tell you, you'd be hard stressed to find any history with some Edomite Jews being taken over on slave ships to say, let's just say America. When did they come over here on slave ships? Because we know for sure the slaves came over here on slave ships. That's how we got here. But when did you see the Jews? Show me some history. You know, I had a brother that I was talking to for a while, and he was like, yeah, well, he was an Edomite Jew. And we kind of were friends there for a minute. And so we Jews, we were taken in this, in slavery, we were taken. He was talking about being taken over to Spain. So I think he said it was 12 slaves into Spain. And I almost hung the phone up on them. But me being a nice guy, I didn't hang up on them. 12 slaves, we talking about millions of slaves. Not no 12, 10 here. We're talking about millions of slaves taken over on the slave trade. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. This is the triangle trade. He said this map shows why the slave trade was also known as a triangle trade. On their journeys between Europe, Africa, and America. You see that? That's more than 12 slaves, right? We're going to show you how many slaves went to Europe, and we're going to show you how many slaves, approximately, how many slaves came to America. We don't know how many people were on slaves on the African continent or the Asian continent. We know they were on the Asian continent too, because you got some people in Asia call themselves the Ascetis. And they said, well, does anybody know who we are? Only thing we know is we came over here on ships and we were made slaves. But anyway, so it says, this map shows why the slave trade was also known as the triangle trade. On their journeys between Europe, Africa, and America, slave ships traveled a triangular path around the Atlantic Ocean. You see that? Around the Atlantic Ocean. According to the most accurate estimate of modern historians, at least 24 million Africans were, those were Africans though, those were Israelites. According to the most accurate estimate of the modern historians, at least 24 million Africans were captured to satisfy the European demand for slaves. 24 million slaves on the European continent. Many of them died from the hunger and disease even before they reached the coast. But millions more had to endure the terrible sea crossing to the Americas. The background of slavery lies in a combination of precedent, ethnocentrism, and greed during the 16 and 1500s. During the 15 and 1600s, slavery was a common institution. Now, who was it a common institution by? The ones that called themselves Arabs and the ones that called themselves Jews. This is a common institution. It says slavery was practiced in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. And we're going to show you the next lesson that that's where the children of Israel will be gathered from, the four corners of the earth. And slavery was practiced in Europe, Africa, Asia, and America. A worldwide slavery. Just like the Lord had it written in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, you will be scattered among the nations from one end of the earth to the other. Man, this is really something. And if this right here don't prove to you that we're the children of Israel, then you got a comprehension problem. You got a comprehension problem. Let's go now. Let's go to, we got another slide here. Okay, so he said you're going to be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, right? So now we see this slave sale right here. He said slave auction flyer. Slaves were held for auction property. Auction property. Land and Negroes for sale. Land and Negroes. And if you keep reading this, you'll see other items they had for sale, as well as 7 Negro slaves. And right here, you can see this auctioneer auctioning off a family of slaves. A family of slaves. Anybody see that movie called The Book of Negroes? You remember who the person was that grabbed the slaves right there? They had the hat on. He was an Edomite Jew. He was not a white man. His face looked white, his skin looked white, but he was an Edomite Jew. That's not to say that the white people didn't have slaves, because they did. But the ones who were really running this thing were the Edomite Jews and the Arabs. And the Arabs longer than anyone. So he said, you're going to be sold unto your enemy for bondmen and bondwomen. Do we have one more slide here? Now, okay, let me scare you for a minute. All right, so now this is a triangle. Now I found this in children's books. That's where I found these maps at, in children's books. Now it said the slave trade from Africa to the America, 1650 to 1860. Do you know that the ones that call themselves Jews, that's when they started migrating here? From the 1650 to the 1860s? Did y'all know that? Now, right here we're in West Africa, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Slave Coast, the Congo, right? They're missing something there, Judah. But that's okay, because we already saw, right? All right, so now, they will sit, here is North America, Mexico. Oh, you didn't know that we took slaves to Mexico? Yep. Central America, South America, Brazil, Salvador, all of these Hispanic nations right here. Slaves. Buenos Aires, slaves. Does everybody see this? Between 1650 and 1860, approximately 10 to 15 million enslaved people were transported from Western Africa to the Americas. 10 to 15 million. We saw 24 million in Europe. Now 10 to 15 million here on the American continent. No telling how many were on the African continent and on the Asian continent. He said, look, most were shipped to the West Indies, Central America, and South America. They forgot about North America because we were shipped here too. Now, so much for that 12 tribe chart. Because we saw that the children of Israel, they were in Europe, Africa, Asia, and America. We got 24 million on the European continent. We got 10 to 15 million on the American continent. A worldwide slavery network. Just like the Lord said, I'm going to scatter you from one end of the earth, Israel, to the other. Now, if this don't prove that we are children of Israel, then you tell me who fits this then besides us? Because the one that called himself a Jew, he really doesn't fit this because he had the slave ships. Let's go now. Let's go to Joel, the 3rd chapter. We got 2 more after this. Joel 3. Joel, the 3rd chapter, we're going to pick up. And believe you, I had much more. I could have had y'all here till the Sabbath was over. But I ain't going to do y'all like this. Let's go to Joel. Joel, the 3rd chapter, we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Joel 3:1. Go ahead and read it.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
See, they have scattered them among the nations and parted my land. Now, who conspired to get that land? So we're going to cut them off from being a nation in the name of Israel, but be no more in remembrance. Then he said the Edomites and the Israelites and the Moabites and the Ammonites. So now look, it said they have taken them out, scattered them among the nations, and parted my land. Who parted the land right now? The Edomites and who else? The Arabs, the Ishmaelites. They've been fighting over this land for hundreds of thousands of years. Go ahead and read.
3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine.
Go ahead.
That they might drink.
Look, they done given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. You know, Israel was a medium of exchange. Here, I don't have no cash money, I don't have no money or silver or coins or nothing. I'm going to give you a slave. Take this boy and give me a drink of wine. Or take this girl and give me a drink of wine. Take this boy for that harlot. A medium of exchange. Verse 4, go ahead.
Yea, and what had ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
O Tyre and Zidon,
And all the coasts of Palestine.
And all the coasts of Palestine. Who is Palestine? The Edomites and who else? The Arabs. He said, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? And all the coast of Palestine? See, these are 2 perpetrators, the biggest perpetrators right here. Our twin brother and our uncle. Go ahead and read.
Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, I will return your recompense upon your own
Look, you
head.
can't even pay me back for what you have done to my people. Esau and Ishmael, you can't even pay me back for what you have done to my people. Verse 5.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border.
Now you see who they sold? The children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem. Have you sold unto who? The Grecians. Who are the Grecians? Those are Gentiles. See, they went into Europe, Asia, those Gentiles. You have sold them to the Grecians that ye might remove them far from their border. And we have been removed far from our border. Man, that is really something. Let's go to Isaiah, the first chapter. We got one more after this. Isaiah 1. You young men paying attention. Isaiah 1. And we're going to pick it up in verse 2. Isaiah 1 and 2. You go to your school and you tell your teacher and your friends about this black history. The real black history. Don't get me wrong. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Sojourner Truth, that's black history. But see, they ain't going to tell you. The only thing they don't give you is that we came from the land of Africa, and that's it. We're showing you that we're not only from the land of Africa, but we are Israelites from that land. And more specifically, from Israel. We are the children of Israel. And this is our black history. We're in Isaiah 1 and 2. Isaiah 1 and 2. Look at what he said about the children of Israel. Go ahead and read it.
Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me.
They have rebelled against the Lord. And until this day, our people are still rebelling against the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The God of Israel, still rebelling. Go ahead and read.
The ox knoweth his own, and the ass his master's crib.
He said the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But what about Israel?
But Israel doeth not know my people, doeth not consider.
They don't even know, they don't even consider that they are the children of Israel. Even the animals smarter than our people. Go ahead and read.
Sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel into anger. They have gone away backwards. Why should ye be stricken anymore? Ye will revolt more and more.
He said, look, I'm going to throw y'all into slavery. I done whooped on y'all, beat some of y'all, put a yoke of iron about your neck until you were destroyed. All of these things set you on fire round about. He said, look, and you still haven't laid it to heart. Why has this happened to our people? You still haven't even laid it to heart. Haven't thought and said, well, man, this got to be. Come on, I knew when I was about 16 years old, I was telling my friends. It's like, man, this punishment that, because they used to show us the black history and stuff. We took black history in high school. I said, man, this punishment that our people are getting, this got to be from God. But I'm thinking that we were the Egyptians that held the Jews in slavery, and that's why we get punished. No. It was that we were the ones who transgressed against the Lord, and that's why we are in slavery. But I used to tell my friend about 15, 16 years old, man, this punishment got to be from the Lord. Go ahead and read, brother.
The whole head is sick, the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it.
No soundness in it.
But wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
See, our honorable men, they famished. Otherwise, they would have healed our people. He said, for the sole of the foot even up to the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and petrifying sores. Don't get me wrong, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all the brothers, they did their thing. But they didn't show you this. They didn't show you this. Go ahead and read.
7. Your country is desolate.
Your country is desolate.
Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence.
And they are still to this day devouring our land in our presence. But you know what the problem is? We don't know it's our land. We don't know it's our land. Go ahead and finish that.
And it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers.
Now, let's go. This is going to be the last scripture. Revelations 2 and 9. It's Revelations 2 and 9. And we want you to come on, be here for that next lesson. Because the next lesson is the coup de grace. You understand? That next lesson is we have shown you and going to show you Israel from the past, the present, and the future. Revelations 2 and 9. Go ahead and read that. This last.
I know thy works and tribulation and poverty.
Now he's telling this to the children of Israel. He said, I know thy works and thy tribulations and thy poverty.
But thou art rich.
Go ahead.
And I know the blasphemies of them which say they are Jews, but are not, but are the synagogues of Satan.
See, he said, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. They were saying they were Jews all the way back in the 1st century. The Israelites got kicked out of the land. They moved right when they were already there. Then some more moved in, and the Romans let them continue to dwell in the land. Some of them left, went to Europe around the 1st, 2nd century, and got their citizenship in Europe around the 3rd century. And so we're going to leave it right there. I hope everybody got some understanding from this lesson. Thank you.